Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more relationship stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting the like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story, which comes from Am I Not the Arsehole, who says, am I the arsehole for letting my brother call me dad and refusing to tell him the ugly truth? I'm well aware that this story sounds extremely hard to believe and fake, and I'm aware that there will be many shitpost comments below. Sorry, but this story is 100% true and is a hot topic of my discussion in my family at the moment. I was born when my parents were both 19. My only other brother, let's call him Josh, was born when they were 42. They divorced shortly after Josh was introduced to the world. He was 4 months old at the time, and they both wanted nothing to do with the child. At the time, I was 23 and I was living alone with my then girlfriend who was 21, now my wife, and I'd done my best to convince at least one of them to take care of young Josh for his sake and the family's sake, but they refused adamantly and said that I should be taking custody of him instead. So I became legal guardian of my brother, and he's been living with us for the past 12 years and things have been going really smooth for us. Josh, now almost 13, has been calling me dad and my wife mum, and our 2 children, 4 female, 9 male, his siblings, and he has absolutely no idea about his real parents. And to be honest, I let all of that slide. He has no idea that I'm really his blood brother and I'm not his father, and I'm starting to feel guilty and a little weird. Some of my uncles and aunts come to visit occasionally, and they are really disgusted at the fact he calls me dad, and they are surprised I haven't told him the truth. They constantly messaged me, talk to me in private, and I cannot chat to them without this one particular topic rising up, badgering me to let him know already, but I refused. I discussed this with my wife, and she thought it would be wrong to tell him the truth because none of my parents wanted to take care of him, and I'm the only person in the world who gave him the father figure everyone deserves. I feel that he has a right to know what he is to me and what I truly am to him, but he's suffered enough already, and I just want things to continue how it is. Reddit, am I the arsehole? Would I be the arsehole if I let him know the truth? But we're going to start with Christina0001, who says, this is a good topic to discuss with a therapist or counselor that specializes in adoption-related issues. My understanding is that it can be very distressing to a child or adult to abruptly find out that they've been adopted. Most things I've read indicate it's best to let the child know early on that they came from a different mummy's tummy and then went to their mummy or daddy or something along those lines. Your brother is past that point, but you're better off acting on this sooner than later. It's better to find out from you and your wife, otherwise eventually someone is going to spill the beans. Throw Forks and Knives says, not the arsehole. The arseholes are your nosy uncles and aunts. You raised him since he was a baby. You were the only paternal and your wife maternal figure he has known. But I think you'll shock him, if not turn his world upside down. But given your family dynamic, it very well might be these uncles and aunts do it because they feel he should know. So it might be best if he heard it coming from you. Kay the Way replies to that saying, he's not the arsehole for allowing him to call him dad, but he is mildly arseholish for not ever telling Josh what his true parentage is. That can do a lot of damage to a kid mentally. Hopefully OP consults a child therapist and works with them to find the best way to tell Josh. Edit, I edited my initial comment from saying pretty to mildly. I should have proofread better and realized that it was too harsh of a statement, and considering OP's age and circumstances, he did impressively well. J. James says, no one's an arsehole here. I completely get where your uncles are coming from. The little guy deserves to know the truth. But it doesn't have to be now, and it certainly doesn't have to be explained as your parents wanted nothing to do with you. When he's older, you can explain some version of, when you were born, our parents were going through a really rough divorce and neither of them could take care of you. I loved you so much, I wanted to raise you as a son. You've been the best thing that has ever happened to me, and I'm glad to have you in my life. I know this is a lot to take in, and you might have a million questions or you might need some space to digest all of this. I'm here for whatever you need. OP responded to that, saying, this is honestly a great way to tell him. Part of me is saying that I should tell him this right now before my other relatives tell him. in a much worse manner, but at the same time, part of me is saying, hey, I think it's a little too early. And this is exactly what is tearing me apart. Lucid Outwork says, no one's an arsehole here. I think this is above our pay grade. There is so much to consider in telling or not telling. Ultimately, I think the truth is best because at some point he's going to find out anyways, but be ready for a lot of backlash if you tell him. He's going to feel angry and hurt and abandoned by his bio parents. When it comes right down to it, you are his dad, even if you are biologically his brother as well. And good for you for stepping in and being there for him. Venicus Weenicus says, so this might be hard to believe, but I grew up in a very similar situation. Around 14, I learned that my parents were actually my grandparents, and my older sister was actually my biological mother. It was a lot to deal with. Honestly, there were a lot of times that I wished I never knew that. But now I'm 22, and at the end of the day, my parents are my parents, and my sister is my sister, and I love them all. They genuinely wanted to do what was best for me. That being said, I don't think you'd be the arsehole if you told him. The most important thing is for you and your wife to be there for him as his parents. He will be hurt that his biological parents didn't want him. Remind him that you want him and tell him all the ways having him as your son has made your life better. Tell him that you are still his dad as long as he wants you to be. And one final comment from Luna Kip, who says, you are not the arsehole, but consider this. You will find out one day, either through a DNA test, someone else in the family letting it slip, especially if they feel justified in telling him because they think he has a right to know, or by getting his birth certificate. My brother found out my father adopted him as a 1-year-old because he needed his birth certificate when he turned 16. Although we're a close family, he still resents the way he found out. He's now 59 and it still hurts him. So please consider finding a way to tell him as soon as possible, perhaps with the help of a therapist. Find the gentlest way possible. If you don't tell him, someone else will, and he'll likely never get over the deception. So then Opie added an update/edit on this post which says, about 70% of the comments are advising me to tell my son who I really am to him, and some are saying sooner than later. I just got up to discuss this with my wife, and now after a lot of hesitation, we've decided that it's best the truth comes from us, and it has to come now. Right now it's late for us, but we should address this to him first thing this week, or even tomorrow. Thanks guys. Then OP comes in with their full update which says, hey guys, so many people wanted me to update on my previous post and wanted me to seek professional advice first before I take matters into my own hands. Apologies if it's long, I'll try to make it as detailed as possible while making this short. I went to my local therapist and told him about my situation and asked what to do. To keep it short, he said he's heard similar recounts from before and said it's best if I tell him as soon as possible for multiple reasons and to make sure that my bio children are present. Multiple reasons. I asked a few of my closest friends and the majority said more or less the same thing. My wife and I decided to sit the kids down and burst the big bubble. I asked my brother Josh to come closer and I made sure I held him close and make him feel comfortable. He asked what's going on, but I started by telling us how much we cared and loved for him, then told him everything about my parents. I put them in a bright light in hopes of a reunion and who I am to him, then quickly hugged him and my 2 other kids together and told him that I love all my children the same and nothing is going to change my love for him. He was shocked and asked if I was joking, but I was starting to cry a little at this point, so he knew I was serious. My bio children were very surprised too. He was in tears and asked why I didn't tell him sooner. I didn't know what to say and said I was just trying to protect you. I'm sorry and I hope you can forgive me. But unfortunately and understandably, he left. He didn't talk to me as much, again, understandably so. I continuously offered him to go out to the park and play a bit of football. He loves that and all his favourite things, but he just outright declined and even got a little angry sometimes for me even talking to him. I thought I messed up big time until one day, while my wife and 2 children were out shopping and we were alone, he came up to me and said, I know you're not my real father, but I want to let you know you're the best dad in the whole world. Sorry for before. I hugged him and things got pretty emotional. It would be a big lie to say my house is normal now. Far from that, but things are slowly, ever so slowly, starting to brighten up. There's no longer anything to hide anymore and it feels like we are born again. Josh is a tough kid and he handled this far better than I believed he would. I'll be looking into therapy for him to help him recover just in case it doesn't go well in the long run. I'll strive and continue to be a great dad to my kids and a great dad to my brother/son. Thank you Reddit for pushing me towards this happy ending. Thank you for all the advice and judgments I got, excluding the rude ones about my uncles and aunts. Eek. I love you all. Good night. Wow, what an absolute crazy story, and what a time that must be, and probably still is, for Josh. Just your whole world changing within a couple of minutes. I can't imagine all the questions that Josh would have been having when he was told this, and when he went away, and what he must have been thinking about why his parents abandoned him like that. Even though OP tried to paint it in a good light, there must have been so much going through his head. But I'm so glad that OP and his wife did tell Josh in the end, because, you know, I think it was always going to come out like the comments said. Someone was going to say something, someone would have slipped up, birth certificate too, and that line from Josh, I know you're not my real father, but I want you to know that you're the best dad in the whole world. Sorry, but before. I had to stop because I was shedding a few tears there. And obviously, like I said, well, it's lovely to hear that things are moving forward for them in a positive way. I imagine Josh is going to have some battles going forward, and it sounds like OP is going to handle that down the road of therapists and things, so I think that's a good thing. But what do you guys make of this one? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Let's move on to another story. And our next story comes from the Pirate Sovereign, who says, would I be the arsehole if I uninvited a friend from a party because of her hygiene? My friend Addie has always had a slight smell. She lives a bohemian lifestyle. As a result, she doesn't always have a reliable place to do laundry or shower. She's a fun person to hang out with, so I just accepted it as one of her many quirks. However, within the past 8 weeks or so, the smell has become much worse. It's an intense, musty odor that fills whatever small space we're in and sticks to any cloth she comes into contact with. For example, if Addie sat on my bed, I'll have to strip the sheets to wash after she leaves, or the smell will stay in the room. The last time she came over, my housemates complained that the smell drifted all the way downstairs from my room. Now that Addie's problem is affecting the other people in my life, I have to acknowledge it. Because the issue got worse within the past few months, it could be signs of a health issue, physical or mental. I don't know how I could ever bring up the smell with Addie herself. How can you broach a subject like that without utterly embarrassing the person? So the arsehole part. Months ago, before the smell got worse, I invited Addie to a party I'm hosting. Now I'm concerned that her hygiene issues will impact the enjoyment of my other guests. Do I lie and tell her it's cancelled and postponed and still hold it for my other friends? Or do I address the issue directly? And I think this is just going to have to be one of those tough conversations that I think you have to approach. If this is your friend and you love her as a friend, then why not, right? I know it's, as I said, I know it'd be an extremely awkward and tough conversation, but what's the alternative? Letting your friend go through this and people have to make comments behind her back. And whilst, like I said, I know it'd be an awkward conversation, but you can do it from a place of support that you want for her. Yes, she is likely to still be hugely embarrassed by this. Having been in some pretty awkward conversations myself in the past, I always approach it through, like, talking to a loved one or a friend and saying, hey, don't be embarrassed about it. There's nothing to be embarrassed about. We're all bloody humans here. I just want to make sure everything is okay with you. That is my main priority here. Yeah, and of course, it still will be awkward. It still will be hugely embarrassing, but I think it does need to be tackled either way. I think disinviting her from this party or trying to do it sneakily and she finds out, you're going to lose a friend. But the comment says from Moss the Mothmouth, who says not the arsehole, you do need to tell her the truth though. There's no helping her if you ignore her or lie to her. Have you ever offered to let her use your facilities? The shower, the washer and dryer. Maybe start there. Hey Addie, not trying to make you upset or anything, but I noticed you have some odor and I wanted to let you know if it's because you're having trouble getting a place to clean. You are more than welcome to use my shower and washer. And if she dismisses it and doesn't change, be less nice and more firm. If this girl matters to you and you want to stay friends, you can't ignore her lack of hygiene. Lotta Bean says you would not be the arsehole, but only if you mention the hygiene issue beforehand and help her rectify it before and as a completely separate issue to the party. Don't mention it in the same conversation, not even on the same day. If the issue is lifestyle, you have facilities, washers for her clothes, showers, etc. that you are able to offer her to use. If it could be mental or physical, is there anything that could be stopping her from accessing help herself? The Bolt of Holt says not the arsehole. I would say the priority is checking in on your friend though. If she has that sort of lifestyle, there is a chance she hasn't even registered her odor has got that significantly worse, and she's always around it. If she is aware, then that makes things tougher, but you have to be honest and explain it's causing issues for you two hanging out in party situations. Self-Bound Beauty says it will be difficult and uncomfortable, but it's a hygiene issue, and therefore a health issue, as well as a difficult social situation. I once had to talk to a friend about wiping habits when I saw a brown streak from her crack up her back. It's not fun. You're both embarrassed and uncomfortable, but as long as you are private, respectful, and avoid shaming her, it will be okay. Hey, I don't want to embarrass you, but I've noticed a musty smell when you come over, and it's gotten worse the past few months. It lingers in the house for a bit after you leave, and it's starting to get really uncomfortable. And I want to make sure you're okay. I'm not sure what a bohemian lifestyle means, but pointing out that it's changed from her previous smell would avoid putting blame on her lifestyle and point to some other issue. This will do wonders more than, hey, you stink, you need a shower and go and wash your clothes. She's an adult, she knows that these things need to be done, and no one wants to stink. Is your shower/washing machine available to her? You don't have to do laundry for her, but you could offer up the machine, or offer help addressing whatever concern she has around showering and clothes washing. Then OP responds to that saying, by bohemian, I mean Addie moves around frequently and works a lot of short-term odd jobs. When she does take a job, it's more for the novelty it offers rather than the money. This leads to her having plenty of wild stories, which is part of what makes her company so enjoyable. Honestly, I admire her boldness and willing to live such an unconventional life, when mine is so defined by fear, like fear of confrontation, obviously. Another strength of Addie's is her emotional sensitivity, which is why I'm so hesitant to bring up this touchy subject. The thought that she's made other people uncomfortable would be painful, but folks on here have offered plenty of helpful strategies for bringing it up gently, focusing on my concern for her and allaying any fear of judgment. See post-edit, and I hope that clarifies. So then OP went on to update the post, which says, thank you to everyone who gave me the honest assessment that yes, I would indeed be the arsehole if I excluded my friend without explanation. I have a tough and uncomfortable conversation ahead of me, but it's one that needs to happen. Thanks especially to those that offered gentle talking points. I sincerely hope the issue isn't a symptom of something that requires treatment. If it is, then it's better to bring it up sooner rather than never. If it isn't, and just a matter of having access to cleaning facilities, I'll check with my housemates before opening an invitation for Addie to use my own. Thanks to everyone for your frank advice, it's much appreciated. OP then went on to do a full update which says, I followed Reddit's advice and took the issue to my friend directly. I asked Addie to meet me at the coffee house, so we were on neutral ground. I decided to bring it up closer to the end of our meeting so she didn't feel awkward through the rest of our catch-up. I said, hey, I need to talk to you. Something has changed in the past few weeks and I wanted to make sure you're okay. I've noticed a strong smell. Do you have a place to shower or do laundry? Do you need help? I let her know I felt the need to bring it up because I care for her, and as friends we need to look out for each other. Addie was, as expected, mortified. It really hurt to see her so distressed. She apologized several times for causing me discomfort. She really is too nice. She assured me that she did have access to those facilities and didn't know what the cause of the smell might be. Because she was assertive about wanting to solve this problem, I offered that maybe it was the new clothes she thrifted. Some garments require special care, like dry cleaning. Addie said that was possible and assured me that she was going to start working on a solution as soon as we said goodbye. It was predictably awkward after the news broke. When I left, I was sure I lost a friend. But since then, we've been texting jokes and personal updates as per usual, so I think we're okay. As for the problem, I don't know if it's been put to rest quite yet. We both got new jobs recently, and we won't be able to see each other until right before the party. I should probably have another brief coffee date before then to see if Addie's solution worked. But now that the subject has been breached, I feel better about bringing it up in the future, if needed. Especially because Addie will know where I'm coming from, a place of love and concern. Thanks to everyone for your frank assessments before and your very helpful advice. I'm really glad I listened. And one more little update which says I saw Addie recently and the smell is gone. She asked me if I could still detect it, and when I said I didn't, she told me that she had laundered her entire wardrobe. So it seems the issue was indeed laundry based. We're both really excited for the party, and I'm glad she'll be there. I think in a weird way, being honest about the situation actually made us closer as friends. Thanks again, everyone. And we have adult conversation winning the day once again, and I couldn't imagine being in Addie's position in this and being told that, you got a smell going on. I think I would respect it, but I'd be absolutely mortified like Addie was at the same time. But then also looking at it from Addie's point of view and seeing a friend come up to you and have to have this awkward conversation with you, it really does show their love for you and their support for you at the same time, I think. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for getting involved in today's stories. Your love, support and time always means the absolute world to me, so thank you so much, and hopefully I will see you in the next one. Take care and much love.